Hey, there I am, quicker than I thought. I'm back again. Yes, I'm continuing with my Canada trip, and I can just say that in 2009 I had an experience of awakening, a profound awakening, which changed my entire life and actually resulted in a book, two books. First one, which is due to be published in February with Balboa Press, and that's called Angels Embrace Me, and the second book is My Journey with Jesus, the Living Christ, and it's called The Journey Back to God, and that will be available in the summer, I believe. I mean, I can't pretend to know, but I'm guessing at this moment in time, but I will keep you posted on that. So in 2009 I had that experience. Yet in 2001 I was being interviewed for a job as a chemist technician in private education, and this guy who was interviewing me asked me where I saw myself in 5 years' time, and I answered, and then he said, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? And I actually didn't have a chance to even think about it. My mouth just literally opened and the words poured out, and it was as if I was a ventriloquist puppet that I was being spoken through, and I was quite taken back by what came out of my mouth, because I said, in 10 years I will be a teacher, but not of chemistry. Now, I was into science, that was my background actually, biology and physics and the sciences, and so I'd never had an idea in my life that I wanted to teach or be a teacher. And I thought, why on earth have I said that I'm going to be a teacher? And more interestingly, why have I said that I will be a teacher but not of science or not of chemistry? And I'm like, that's all I know, the science. So it really took me by surprise. Yet 10 years later, in 2011, I was in a Course in Miracles gathering in Wales, and I heard the Spirit saying, it's 10 years to the day. It's 10 years to the day. And I'm like, 10 years to the day for what? Suddenly, the realization that it was 10 years to the day that I had had that interview where I said that I would be a teacher. And then I just leapt out of my chair and I went, oh my God, I'm a teacher of God. And everybody went, yay! And they were all clapping and laughing, and but they didn't know how profound it was for me, because they weren't aware of the what I'd said in 2001. So this was like, wow, I mean, it really has already happened. It really is already over, you know, and Spirit really does know everything, even 10 years down the line. And so that really moved me in so many ways. And I'm just telling you this because when Luciano picked me up at the airport, he said his friends in Seattle had invited me to teach there, and my face looked really contorted, and I went, teach? Me teach? But teach what? And the entire idea of teaching seemed kind of alien to me. But what the trip was really showing me was that just by being myself, going about my day in alignment with the Christ, that was all I needed to do. And actually by doing that, I was teaching. I was actually teaching. And so I thought, oh, that's what teaching is. And it reminded me also of a time when I asked Jesus, you know, what is my purpose? What am I to do? And he said, to teach children. You are to teach children. And I thought, in that moment I thought, is that my special, function here to teach children? And I was kind of, in the moment, I felt disappointed. And even though that I've loved kids and children, and I've had 6 of my own, I just felt that I wanted something different, something new, maybe to create astounding artwork, or, find an instrument and produce great music, or have some kind of hidden talent that I never knew I had. So I believed I was a little bit disappointed by that, and I shared it with Jesus that I felt disappointed, and I had this image of a nursery full of screaming children and dirty diapers and snotty noses, and I just thought, not that. And Jesus said, when I say you'll teach children, I don't mean children in the sense that you're picturing in your mind. I'm saying children in the sense of you will teach the children of God. And I was like, the children of God, which is what we all are. We're all the children of God. So then I was like, I lightened then, and I thought, yeah, that's good. And then I went, but how do I do that? How do I do that? And Jesus said to me, you do that by being a living demonstration of the Christ in your own life. And I said, really? It's that easy? Well, I'm doing that already. And so that's what kind of unraveled for me there. And that just reminded me of when I had this reaction to teaching in Seattle. It was like, to teach what? And I just had this idea of a classroom area and regurgitating stuff to people, and it wasn't my idea of teaching at all. And so I said I was open to the idea, but of course I can never be where I'm not meant to be at any given time. It's all written, it's all scripted, and so whilst I remained open, I wasn't sure that would happen. And but it really brought home to me this idea that what teaching really was. And actually, we were just chilling out, relaxing, and Luciana and I were chatting, and time seemed to fly by until we were chatting for 2 hours. And again, this topic of conversation came up about teaching, and I said, me teaching, and he kept saying, why do you keep saying that? He said, he looked at his clock, and he said, his watch, and he said, do you realise you've been teaching for the last 2 hours? And might I add, on a profound level, and might I add that you've been teaching since the minute you landed? And I was like, really? And so this trip was really given to me, and it was for the healing of my mind, and it was just beautiful, really, that I was touching people in ways that I could never know or even understand. And it reminded me of the film It's a Wonderful Life. And actually, we are all touching people all of the time. And we can never know, how profoundly we touch people, and how the miracle spreads like a ripple on a pond. And I just rarely come to understand what teaching really is. And I also realised on the island that my desire to attach a label was falling away. To even call myself a teacher was falling away, and the desire to make it something that it wasn't was falling away, and was a more of a opening up to what was. In every moment, it was just to share when I was guided to share, and just to be myself. Just being is all that I had to do. So liberating to do that. And really, Jesus said, I can't get it wrong. I can't mess up. It's impossible to mess up. So yeah, my time with Luciano was absolutely amazing, and he was extending love continuously. And yet what I noticed was, after he left, was that not once did I feel guilty that he had gone out of his way and was extending to me. Not once did I feel guilty. Not once did I ever thought that I should reciprocate his giving. Not once did I feel that he must be after something, therefore I must give him something. There was none of that. It never crossed my mind. And so I was healed in the fact that I didn't need to push away these gifts or deny them. I didn't need to feel guilty about accepting them. I didn't need to reciprocate anything. And so, you know, that was all given. Entirely beautiful. Entirely beautiful. And of course, I'm ever grateful for the experience. For the experience that I'm looked after and that I'm carried by Spirit, and that all of my needs are met. So beautiful, so perfect. And when I arrived at my friend's grace, I understood that I wasn't to be staying at her house as originally thought. She had chatted with me about her friend, and if the need arose that I would have to stay at his place, would that be okay? And I said it was absolutely fine. I was open to being wherever I was guided to be. It was all perfect. I knew that. So yeah, I wasn't to stay with Grace. And originally I thought I was staying in Longview, Alberta for the Christmas retreat, and that didn't show up. And then this idea that I was going to be hosted by Grace, that wasn't showing up either. And she had this wonderful friend called Rick, and he had built this, I call it the log cabin or the little ranch, and he'd built it with the purpose of sharing it with Course in Miracle Mighty companions and teachers, and nobody had been in it yet, and he worked hard to finish it, and he was all open for me using the space. And so literally I got my own place, and I call it my pad or my place. It was all so beautiful. So Rick came over and he showed me his place, and it was dark at the time I arrived, and I didn't realize that it was my place, my space entirely. So I said to him, you know, I keep strange hours, being of spirit, you know. There can be nights when I don't sleep at all, or there can be nights when I'm up early, and I said, I'm just like sharing this with you because I don't want to disturb you. Is it okay if I still move about freely? And he looked at me and he said, you won't disturb me. He said, this is your place. You've got this place to yourself. He said, I live down the back in this cabin, and he pointed out the window, but I couldn't see anything because it was dark. So dark. And so I said, oh. So I was amazed that I got this place, and he said, you're not afraid to be on your own, are you? I said, no, not at all, and that's how I've lived much of my life. And he said, I don't lock the doors, and so they'll remain open, and are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, it's absolutely fine. And I had the facility to lock the doors, but this was just given, you know, for me to trust. And so I never locked the doors once while I was there, and it was perfectly fine. And this space was really beautiful. This huge, light, airy space which had some sofas and chairs, and a table, and a dining table and chairs, and there's a kitchen area, a sink, and obviously a little bathroom, and then a sleeping area which was separate. It was all perfect, but I never knew in any moment how it would look. When I woke on my first morning, I don't know, it was I don't know, about 8 o'clock. I think it was just getting light, and I could see this place that Rick had pointed to, in which he stayed, and I looked down the garden, or down to this area, and I thought, he can't live there, surely. That's a shed. It's like a garden shed. I mean, and I could literally see the sides of it. I thought, he's having a laugh, isn't he? And then I thought, gosh, that'll be interesting. I mean, he did say he was going to show me around when it was light, and so I was just completely amazed by that. And true as his word, he came over and gave me a guided tour of the garden shed, if you like, and it was really small, I tell you, really small, yet it was a lesson really in how little we need, you know. I mean, we have these ideas that about what we need, you know, about space, about size, about luxury, and this guy was there showing me that what we need is far less than we think, and this like little shed area, he had, I mean, he was an architect, so he had the skill under his belt to do this, but he had made it so that he had a single bed, and he had this sophisticated drawer system under the bed. Sophisticated, really, 3 baskets. I call that sophisticated. And then he had an office area with his computer and a huge TV screen there. And then he had a kitchen area, a wardrobe area, and then he had a bookshelf behind the door, and then he had a small wicker armchair, and then he had a sink area, and he also had a shower and a toilet in there. He had everything, literally everything that he needed, in the size of a postage stamp, and you know, and he was so comfortable there, and so that was a real lesson in you know, scaling back. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm literally scaling back to nothing right now, but you know, for those of us who need to do it in a process, that was just a real lesson, an eye-opener of what, you know, we really can manage with. Yeah, that was really beautiful. What happened that day was, I mean, I was happy to be in this space and to be in this cabin and to do whatever I was moved to do or guided to do, and I was certainly not wanting to be taken care of. It's like he wasn't responsible for me, and he didn't have to do things and check in with me all the time. He didn't have to do that. But on Christmas Eve, he came over and said, my girlfriend's asked me to drive her to the airport in Victoria. She wants to pick up her friend from the airport at 8 o'clock at night, and it's about an hour and a half drive, and he said, I thought of kind of inviting you to come along with us. So it's him and his girlfriend and me to pick up a lady that she knows from the airport. And in my mind I thought, I've just travelled, all the way across the world. I've spent 24 hours journeying, and like the last thing really that appeals to me is to sit in the back of a car and travel to an airport to pick someone else up who I don't even know. But I just went into that open space and that openness, and if it was being suggested I go, then it was for a reason. And so I thought, yeah, there's something far greater being offered here than just the backdrop of the journey to the airport. And so I said yes to that, and gets in this car, and on the drive there, I was in the back, and I was just taking in all the scenery of beautiful Canada. Yeah, it was really, really peaceful and beautiful. And I had a couple of experiences along the way, and then, of course, it was Christmas Eve. We ended up stopping unexpectedly at this hotel, and a meal was ordered, and we all sat and had a meal. And what we ended up with was a Christmas dinner, and it was a beautiful Christmas dinner actually. And I had the distinct feeling while I was eating the dinner, I could hear it playing in my mind that said, "This is your Christmas dinner. Enjoy it, for there will be none tomorrow." And I was like, I really heard that, and I really did enjoy the meal. And the lady came over to arrange payment, and I found that it had been gifted, it had already been paid for, and so, it was so beautiful. But what really occurred for me after that was quite profound. I mean, we'd seen the government buildings all lit up in Christmas lights and seen some beautiful architecture. But that wasn't it, that wasn't it. When we arrived at the airport to pick this lady up, she got into the back of the car, sat next to me in the back, and her good friend was in the front seat. And the minute she got in the car, something happened to me. And I was sat upright like a pole. My back wasn't touching the seat, it was upright. And I'd never been able to sleep in a car in my life. And if I even tried to do it, I'd curl up in a ball and put my head on the window, but it never ever happened. But something was happening, and I just remained as straight as a pole. And the minute this lady got into the car, my eyes closed and I was gone. I had no awareness of anything, no sensation that I was in a car, no movement, no traffic, no sound, not a single thought crossed my mind. I couldn't hear anything, and apparently these two ladies that were in the car were chatting all the way there, and I never was aware of any sound, and it was so deep and so profound. And the journey was an hour and 15 minutes long, and for that entire hour 15 minutes I was in this space. It wasn't till the car pulled up and the lady got out that I came back to this reality, and I thought, wow, it was so profound, what just happened? And I realised that deeply that I was resting in the peace of God. And then it was just this profound shift that, I have this idea that I could close my eyes for a couple of minutes and experience the peace of God, and I could walk through the woods and experience the peace of God. But really, truly, what I just experienced was the peace of God. Because literally, there was no awareness, there was no thoughts, there was no sensation, no sound. There was absolutely nothing but pure bliss. And I thought, wow, what a gift to have that experience. And then, it brought the profound reality to my awareness that I'm always in purpose. And what is my purpose? My purpose is always the peace of God. And every question I have here, or every seemingly concern I have here, is answered in the peace of God. That's where it is, in the peace of God. And if I'm having any awareness or any thoughts or anything crossing my mind, then I'm not in the peace of God. And so This was so profound and so deep. And I was like, hell, get me back there now. I wanted it again and again and again. But the thing is, there was no intention, there was no trying, there was no efforting. I had no idea that this was going to happen. It just happened, and my intention is for it to happen again and again and again. And while I'm setting intentions, my main intention is to see only truth. To see only truth in everything. To see only truth. As I didn't have a New Year's resolution, I'll set that one. I'll set that as an intention. Yeah, so this trip, which some people might have said was it was a crazy idea, given that I just travelled across the planet, and it was crazy, but there was a gift there, and it was truly beautiful. And then on Christmas morning, I only remember one magical Christmas in my entire life, and that was when I was age 10, so almost 35 years ago. And what it was it snowed on Christmas Day in the UK, and there was, I don't know, about 2 foot of snow, and it was the most magical feeling I could ever remember. And it was beyond all gifts, yet it has never snowed on Christmas Day in the UK since, not to my knowledge anyway. And so I woke up on Christmas morning in this cabin, and it was snowing, and there were thick snowflakes, really thick snow, and 6 inches had fallen within, what seemed literally minutes. And what had always appeared beautiful to me was now like, although I was observing it and witnessing it, and it was like, there was no meaning behind it. It was, you'd think I'd be jumping for joy and shouting yay and adding meaning to it, but it was snowing, and there was no sense of meaning, no sense of any attachment, and that I found really bizarre. I thought, what's going on? And I didn't actually know, or have any idea what kind of a Christmas I was going to have. I had this idea that I was going to witness this huge family Christmas time, and but it never happened. And I ended up in this cabin all on my own, and literally there was no TV, there was no computer, there was no phone, no mobile, there was nothing there but me. And this guy, Rick, had gone off to what he called rescue his girlfriend, and so he'd spent the day with her. And my friend Grace was not feeling that I was to go there, and which was fine. And I actually spent the entire day alone in this cabin in the middle of nowhere with all this snow. And for my Christmas dinner, I ate a raw carrot. But there was nowhere for me to go. There was nowhere for me to run. There was no people for me to hook into. And I realised then that I was never there to witness the happy family Christmas. I was there to undo the entire concept of Christmas. That's really what I was there to do. And it was so profound because I was on my own. I was forced to go inward, and I sensed all this anger and rage. I was angry at my friend Luciano for abandoning me there. I was angry at my friend Grace for I don't know, my friend he relayed the messages, oh, she's got nothing to give, and I was like, rah, nothing to give, where is that love? And so I was witnessing all this anger coming up, but I really knew that everyone was innocent, and there was no guilt anywhere, and that this was all perfect, and it was all given for the healing of my mind. There was no guilt anywhere, absolutely none. It wasn't about Luciano abandoning me or Grace not loving me.